Hey, just a little note before the video starts properly. If you hear baby noises throughout this video, it's because I had to take a baby home for a child development class, and it's doing what it's supposed to be doing, being annoying. So if you hear it, just keep in mind that that's why. And without further ado, let's see what I have to say about the chapter 1029. So, like I said 2 weeks ago, this is going to be a thing that I do for every One Piece chapter, but 1029 has come out. I'm a little tardy to the party compared to last time, but it's here, and I'm going to be talking about it. So the chapter is 1029, like I said, and it's named The Tower. And right off the bat, I want to say that I love the cover page of Jewelry Bonnie eating soba with otters, I believe it is. Sea otters, in particular. But starting off the actual chapter with a complete sequel, basically, to what happened last week, is the Sanji versus Queen stuff, with Sanji unlocking his Vinsmoke powers, or his German powers, I guess. And we really get to see the fact that Sanji did not just break the sword, he shattered it on his neck. So, we have some people saying that Queen's sword is really strong, that it shouldn't just break like that. But then we see an interesting callback to Whole Cake, or before Whole Cake, I guess, where Sanji kicked one of his brothers in the face and like detached his jaw, and then he adjusted it himself. We see Sanji do something very similar to fix his face after Queen's sword strike, and we're told that that's attributing to his healing factor from Germa. And then we have Chopper not realizing what's happening, saying, "Way to go, Sanji, my boy, you broke a sword with your bare neck." And we get Sanji's reaction where he, kind of like last chapter, he doesn't want to become one of those unfeeling monsters like his siblings. So he runs away. Very Sanji-esque moment to happen. Kind of reminds me of something Usopp would do. But he's running away just to figure out what caused it and if he can get it under control. And he's running away saying, "Let me think for a bit. If this keeps up, am I going to lose my emotions?" And then we see some of the Beast Pirates shooting him. And I believe in total he gets shot 3 times. And all he has to say about that is, "That hurt, you bastard." And he took them straight to the skull. And he just shrugs it off. So, he's pretty durable. We get Queen insisting that he uses his raid suit to show him what Germa can do. And then we cut away from the performance floor for just a little bit. The rest of this chapter, really. And we see Big Mom versus Law and Kid. And if you remember last time, we got a little hint, last time we saw Kid, we got a little hint from Basil Hawkins, who was fighting Killer at that moment, that he has Kid as his last body, or his last backup, basically. So that was his deterrent for Killer being able to beat him. And now we see that Kid has a killer headache, and Law insists, "What the hell, stop being dead weight." And then he uses Counter Shock on Big Mom, which actually seems to have an effect. But then Big Mom, or I guess Prometheus, uses an ability called Stolen Fire, which is a reference to the Greek, I believe, myth of stealing fire. And then Big Mom attacks both of them, Kid and Law. And we get Kid saying, "This is no freaking headache, what's going on? I finally got an opportunity to take down an Emperor. If I die like this, my life as a pirate would be a joke." So we get the fact that even though Kid doesn't know what's happening, why he can't fight, we get the fact that he is very upset about it, which is in his character, of course he would be. And cutting to the 3rd floor, specifically Killer versus Hawkins, we get Killer pleading with Basil Hawkins, "Stop it," laughing because of the smile fruit. "Stop it, fa ha ha, fa fa. Knock it off already, Hawkins, please." And then we have Hawkins replying, "You actually ate a smile fruit. You really have the worst kind of luck, Killer." And then we have some of the, I guess, raid party chiming in, asking why Killer can't finish Hawkins. And they're making a point that he's not fighting, but he's not losing at the same time. And apparently the fire is almost here, so that's why they're kind of trying to rush him through. And then Killer tries to make the deal, "Release Kid, you can have my life if that's what it takes." And Hawkins isn't having any of it. He starts talking down to him, saying he could always cut him down with those scythes if you're sick of me. I still don't mind if you surrender. I'll even put in a good word with Kaido for you. So he's willing to do that. I don't know if Kaido would really do that though, especially after all of this trouble. And Hawkins apparently says, your side has no chance of winning this battle. You already know that's the truth, don't you? Which really goes against what we know, because except for the big 3 headliners and Kaido himself, there aren't really that many beast pirates to take care of other than just the really weak ones. So we'll see if that actually comes true. But this does come back to, I believe it was Kid, Killer, Hawkins, and Drake all saw Kaido and apparently fought him and lost. So that's how some of them got into his graces, how some of them went into prison, so we know that stuff. And Hawkins says, the reason their dominion over the seas have lasted for so long is obvious to anyone who has laid eyes on them. They can't be beaten. So this is very much him admitting that they can't beat the big Emperor boys. And then we have Killer saying, I see through your wailing, you'll regret it, the path you chose. We fought through the impossible odds you foresaw, and we're still here while you pissed yourself and quit. And then we get a nice flashback to that fight against Kaido, where Kaido says, I'll accept you into the fold if you submit, which is very much showing that Killer and Kid probably didn't stop fighting. They probably kept going, and that's why Kid was so bloodied up in the hospital or in the jail. But Hawkins and Drake took him up on that offer. We know why Drake did that, but Hawkins did it just out of pure fear for himself. And then we get a continuation of Killer saying, well, I don't want to have regrets either, so I'm going to give this another shot. It's all or nothing now. I'll give it a couple, but I have a couple questions for you. What happens if you take damage that has nowhere else to go? Which seems like a very odd question to ask, because it's been obvious how this fight is going. Hawkins responds in a very similar way. What are you talking about? You should understand my powers by now. What are you talking about? You should understand my powers by now. Clearly an issue by the translation. But he's asking, you should understand how my powers work. Especially after this long of a fight. And then we get a cool double-page spread of Killer using some move to cut off Hawkins' arm. And he makes a very clear point that the damage that he just received should reflect the Kid. But then we get Killer saying Kid doesn't have a left arm, which is the arm that Killer chopped off. So, very smart move on Killer's behalf. And he asks the second question. If I remove this doll, how many lives do you have left? And then we get that nice final moment that we all have been waiting for from Hawkins. Congratulations, that was my last one. And then he pulls a card. Strawman's card, Death Upright, the Annihilation card. You're already living on borrowed time. I'm gonna finish you now. And then, similar to what he just said against Killer when Killer wasn't fighting back, his side should be able to cut through the straw. Which is what he does with Clawing Guillotine. He chops the head right off of the straw man. And then Hawkins is put into a position where he says that the straw man can't die. Its fate is determined by the cards and it will be revived. He pulls another card. It's the Tower. Which we see is the Tower signifies great change. An upheaval of the established order. Its hidden meaning indicates the opening of a new path. Which is very much shown in this other double page spread, where Killer uses Sonic Blade to slice, I guess, Hawkins right down the middle. And he drops down, he's defeated. And we get to see Kid is feeling much better. He's back in his own personality. And he's facing down against Big Mom, saying, yeah, never felt better. And then we have the last panel of the chapter, which is a Killer saying, go for it, partner. And it's a good chapter. Coming off of what 1028 was, with the whole Germa reveal with Sanji, we get some resolution of that in this chapter, but then we bring up another fight that needs to get resolved, because we still have a decent amount of fights that need to finish before this raid ends. So we'll see. So I believe now we have Sanji versus Queen, Zoro versus King, Luffy versus Kaido, Momonosuke needs to stop the island from falling, I don't remember all the other fights. I'm sure there are others. The performance floor has their issues. There's Kid versus Big Mom that needs to happen. Kid and Law. But we're still coming down onto the last few fights that need to happen in this arc. So we'll see how they happen in these next few chapters. One Piece is not on break next week, so I should be doing a review before the chapter drops. But until then, this has been my review of chapter 1029. And as Law finishes this, I'll see you next time. Okay, guys. Bye.
あるべき場所へ何をしようと俺の自由だ